You know, she did not plan to be here, we did not plan to be here. And we're not alone. I thank God for that, really. So in the beginning, the sister wanted to ask a question, so we're gonna take a few minutes. Y'all can come up and we'll open up for a few questions. We're catching up with time. You know, getting closer to where we had lost. Okay, any questions? Yes, Sister Ross.
Is it Pastor Crystal?
Minister.
Minister Crystal. What I find as an African American, my interest as a Muslim is interfaith, because we got to get along and we are the same. But in the interfaith circle, I find that African Americans don't see the value in it. To some extent, I kind of get that, but I just wanted to hear you, actually all of your response to the African Americans' perspective, or how do you see and how do you address that? I don't think I'm alone in witnessing that within us.
Well, let me say, I'm not from Washington. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I moved here 7 years ago to go to seminary with no intention of becoming, no serious intention of becoming a minister, but it seems that the Creator had other plans. The reason that is relevant is because here in D.C., it seems there's more of a presence of African Americans involved in the interfaith movement than at home at all. And so it's interesting to hear you express that as someone who lives here and has observed that for herself. I still think you're right. Thank you.
Oh, he's gonna put it on, right?
It doesn't
Turn
look
it
like it's
on.
plugged up. Is it plugged in?
Try that.
Okay. Thank you for this. When I was speaking, I had this tiny voice, and when I was speaking earlier, I could feel that I wouldn't be speaking long. So I'm grateful for this microphone. Oh, good. So I want to tell you that I think some of it, is regional, but I'm going to speak specifically to what I've just observed here. There was a sociological study that took place probably about 10 years ago, and it talked about how perspectives on religion, faith, peacemaking, all kinds of different things in religion are approached from a more conservative standpoint by Black people. If I can be very honest, I will say that the training that we get specifically in Black churches puts such a life and death quality on adherence to what we think of as the truth that it can be difficult to break outside the mold and even have a conversation with another person, right? And so I think that, in my own experience, just from people who haven't understood what I'm called to do or what I'm out here doing, I think that there's a misunderstanding when it comes to faith. Sometimes people think that if I'm just out involving myself in interfaith dialogue, that must mean that I'm somehow compromising my own religious position. I think because, and I'm basing this on that sociological study I told you about, because we are more likely to be fundamentalists for a variety of reasons, some of which I think do go back to slavery and just the life or death perspective that we're rooted in when it comes to our religion. It just becomes very difficult for I think for some Black people and specifically Black Christians to see themselves as as folks who have the agency to go out and just have those kinds of conversations without compromising something central If there's any answer to it whatsoever, if there's a way to break out of that, I think it just, I think the way that the generations are changing right now, the way that young people are, I think the challenges that are happening right now in churches with young people saying, that's not the kind of Christianity I want to be a part of. I think that's going to force Christianity to change. But I think about in the book of Exodus when the children of Israel went around the mountain for 40 years waiting on a generation to die. I think there's something in the text that's always reminding us to be patient, right? It takes a long time for a mindset to turn over. But anyway, it's not just you. And I would say that here, my own pastor is very involved in interfaith things. I used to work for the community interfaith office in Fairfax County. And, there weren't a lot of black churches involved, and that was something the director used to ask me all the time. How can we get more black churches involved? And I would say, it's a conundrum, but it has to do with just the way that people are trained to think about their own religion, and how people are motivated to try and protect what they think is some truth. When you think that you have the absolute truth, anything that tries to penetrate from the outside, including just the force of love, right? Just efforts at unity, feels like a threat. So that's what I would say.
As the young people would say, true that. And I agree with a lot of what my sister has said. I sit here as a Muslim, but if I were to take a title, I would say that I am Christian Muslim Scientologist. People will say, what? My biggest trouble, if you will, if I would claim trouble, and I don't, has been my own in Islam. May not stand beside me in prayer and salat because my hair is not covered. And I say, show me in Quran where we should be so. Many are not recognizing that it's not in Quran. It is in other narrations. The word hadith means narration. The Quran says, what other narration than this do you take? I was at a point of leaving Islam at one point for that very reason, because wherever I went, there was dissension. It's like, Islam, the peace, there's not peace. We point fingers at our Christian brothers and sisters because of the different narrations. When I say to people, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John did not walk the earth when Jesus was here, they're astounded. So, as my sister pointed out, we have first to handle our abilities to be, as Quran says, impartial. The Creator says He will raise from among you an impartial community. Well, impartial means the golden rule. I should treat you like I want you to treat me.
Amen.
I should not do things to you I would not want you to do to me. Well, guess what? Mr. Hubbard found those principles, and he wrote them out in a booklet called Way to Happiness. Same thing, because it will make us happy. The word religion, today's definitions are deity, worship of a deity, set of rituals, etc. Go to the unabridged dictionary, God willing, and find the basic definition of religion is a matter of consciousness. What are you conscious of? What do you conscientiously put forth? as your representation of the God within you, or the satanic, as we call it, nature that we also carry. And you might say, I'm here to handle.
Yes.
Some writings call it the jinn, etc. That which is unseen. But as our brother pointed out this morning, this is just the car. This is the vehicle. And as I once heard a brother say, who was martyred from this earth because he dared to say something that no one had maybe heard or written the prophet, peace be upon him, Muhammad, to have said. But he's saying that submission is to willingly do what God is guiding you to do. He says, deal with what God reveals to you.
Yes.
He might didn't show it to me. And I'm not to argue with you about it. I am to hear your viewpoint. I sit here. And Mr. Hubbard says space is simply a viewpoint of dimension. Hello. From where I sit, I see. From where you sit, you see differently.
Yeah.
When will we, God willing, begin to look from others' viewpoints so that we get a larger dimension of that which is to be seen? Then it may no longer be unseen. God willing. That is the God nature within us. So yes, my sister, I stopped attending interfaith conference in D.C. because I would show up like this. And others, Sikh, Jewish, Christian, Baptist, Lutheran, you name it, would see the others and say, well, you must know, she must know, he must know, what are you? I decided to stop trying to explain that. And I went differently. I was leaving Islam at one point, the peace, because I didn't see the peace. But God said, hold on. Here's another viewpoint on it. And so today, by God's leave, thank you, I can say I'm a submitter. I'm a monotheist. I am one who strives to follow the one the same as others. And I can see the willingness to have peace in others. They too, thereby, Jesus was a submitter. And those who strive to know his teachings, not just listen to what the pastor said. They have their task. But the Bible also tells us to seek knowledge. So we're supposed to verify for ourselves, ascertain and verify. Otherwise, you are held accountable on what we all believe is a day of reckoning to come. And what you gonna say then? I did it because of who or what? I don't want to make that claim, God willing. That's my take. Thank you, sister, for pointing that out to us.
Thank you, my sister, for that beautiful teaching and explanation. I'm learning something every time one of you open
Yes.
your mouths to speak, and I can't wait to hear about my brother here speak. But I'd like to say, often places of worship are named after people's places or things. And I'd like to take up on that place. For example, right around the corner is Bethlehem Baptist, and it's named after a place, Bethlehem.
Yes, sir.
Some things are named after things. For example,
Are you
Solid.
speaking in the mic?
Let's see if I, okay. If I speak this, there we go. Some are named after things. For example, Solid Rock Baptist Church. Some are named after people, like memorial names. My church is right down the street. It's named after a person, Saint Teresa of Avila. And Avila, even the word Avila is not a Spanish word. Avila is an Arabic word. And as if you study Spanish, then you know that much in Spanish comes from Arabic. But what I learned about Teresa of Avila is that she was born during a great period of enlightenment in 1515, the year 1515, and she came along at a time when in a place in Avila, Spain, where people got along together. And she came during that time when Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people lived together. In fact, she shared in her family heritage some of all three traditions, and that was where she came from. And she's taught, seek God within, look within, and she's called a doctor of the church because she taught that. So what I'm learning is a wider truth, that